think it was actually Christmas Day.
It was Christmas Eve.
Okay.
I
And
remember it well.
I just remember the only time I've ever felt like that is it. Like, you've got to go. I think we were driving from one family to the next for Christmas.
And it's you and me, babe, whatever comes. Knowing bigger hands are holding ours, and the greatest days are ahead of us. Growing in love, learning to be a better us.
Hi there, so glad you've joined us for A Better Us. Welcome to our home.
If you're one of our regular viewers, you are familiar with some very special people we like to call our kitchen couples. 4 married couples at various stages of life who candidly share the lessons they've learned.
Right.
Today, we want to spotlight one of those couples.
He is a songwriter, recording artist, worship leader, and GMA Canada Covenant Award winner.
She is an author, blogger, public speaker, and enthusiastic cheerleader for their 2 sons.
We're talking about Dan and Danielle Macaulay.
They recently sat down with our cameras and opened up about their love story, their dual citizen lifestyle, and a particularly challenging season in their lives that actually found them in marriage counseling.
I love how transparent they are. Also, Dr. Mike is on the beach, and he's helping us to understand how to better relate to a spouse that's suffering with depression.
And sex and marriage author Sheila Wray Gregoire will give practical insight into how to navigate differences in men's and women's libidos.
Sounds like a PG-13 part of the show there. hon.
Absolutely. So there's a lot packed into this half hour. Stay with us.
Standing on the sidelines when a partner battles depression can feel like an incredibly helpless experience. And you're not alone if you really just don't know what to do to invest in your partner when they're feeling down and when they've felt down for weeks on end. So many spouses in the clinical office tell me they're just confused about what their role really is in their spouse's recovery process. So I'm going to give you some quick tips that will help you understand just how important your support really is. So I'm going to start with this. You can't cure your spouse's depression. You can't get rid of it. It is not your job, so get that off the table. Okay, that's not happening. But you can help and be a support on the road to recovery. So that's how you need to start to picture your role, is that you are literally a helpmate. So there's some specific things that you can do that will help you execute that role. Number one, you've got to learn about depression. You've got to educate yourself about what this disease actually looks like in real life. What people don't understand is that when individuals are depressed, sometimes they can have days on end that they feel pretty good. Sometimes, like 3 or 4 days, 5 days, they can feel okay. But man, like a lightning bolt, that depression will come back and they'll spend 2 weeks in misery. And so you need to understand that there's an ebb and flow to depression that is not always easy to understand if you're watching someone go through it. The second thing that you can do is literally just be there. Just be present. Often the best thing you can do for your spouse when they're dealing with depression is simply show up, walk out into the living room and say, I'm here. You don't have to have all the answers, but that's okay if you can just sit still, look at them in the eye, and listen. And the most important message you can send your spouse if they're down is this: we are gonna get through this together. Me and you, one-on-one, I'm with you. Number 3, create a supportive home environment. There's something that happens in the life of a person who's depressed that just saps their energy, and it makes them like low on energy and not able to sleep and not able to eat. Your job, if you're walking with this spouse, is to create a structure. Can you create a structure at home that helps them execute when they're having a hard time executing on their own? Things like this. Can you help them find healthy eating habits? Can you cook dinner with them and just make sure that they're getting good nutrition? Number 2, Can you provide a structure for exercise? Exercise together with them. There's some new research that shows that exercise is the most validated treatment for depression, period, bar none. More effective than therapy, more effective than medicine. Now, I know this is not good for business, but it's true. Exercise works. Help your spouse do that. Another thing you can do is help your partner stick with treatment. So a lot of people, what they do when they go to counseling is they'll start counseling, they start to feel a little bit better, and then they drop out. Don't let that happen. Hold them accountable. Drive them to the appointments. Sit in the waiting room while they're with their therapist. That just feels like they're not alone in the whole process. How about creating a low-stress environment? That's really important. That's an incredible environment that you can create in your home that will help them understand, okay, I'm super stressed out and overwhelmed, but I know that today I'm gonna, walk around the block, and tomorrow we're gonna go to a movie, and the next day we're gonna do things together that are gonna encourage healthy living and feeling better. And then finally, you can give positive reinforcement. This is really huge. When you feel hopeless and you feel like there's just no way forward, it feels really good to have someone look at you and say, hey, I see your progress. I see what you're doing. I know you're getting better. Give them specific examples of how you see them walking forward in their recovery. And then finally, and this might be one of the most important things, encourage treatment. Encourage people to find a good counselor that will allow them to work through these issues. We've got to crush the stigma of walking into a counselor's office and asking for help. The days of that have got to be over, because the truth and the reality of the situation is the counselor's office, that's where the healthy people are, right? It's the unhealthy people that are unwilling to go. So what I really want you to do is encourage your spouse to get with a good counselor who can do two things. Number one, teach them coping skills for how to deal with the symptoms, but then secondly, help them really dig down and understand the root cause of what's making them depressed in the first place.
Just you and me talking, I found you at the volleyball court.
Yeah.
Made the mistake of telling her that I thought she'd make a really great wife someday.
And I literally got up and ran away.
For more marriage encouragement, follow A Better Us on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube.
And subscribe for your free weekly Marriage Moment email at abetterus.tv.
Where do we begin? So we grew up at summer camp together.
Same group of friends. I was on probably the older edge of it because I did rock the cradle a little bit.
And so I don't really ever remember meeting Dan, but I always remember knowing Dan.
So my first thought, as far back as I can think of, Danielle, is that we were hanging out together at camp. You came by the cottage to walk with me to the tabernacle, and maybe you were still there and I was in a separate room or something, but my sister said to me, "You're not interested in that 14-year-old, are you?" Because I was 19. And the answer was no. No, I wasn't. But it's like almost like she planted the thought, and then because I thought, oh yeah, she's great, but she's like way too young. But then the next summer, however, I did kind of take a shine to it. I made the mistake of the last day of camp. I think I had been secretly thinking all week, wow, this girl's really great, and I think she's gonna be like really awesome when she's older. With all pure best intentions, like in mind, I think future tense. This girl is really awesome, character, beauty, like everything. And I made the mistake of telling you that I thought, just you and me talking. I found you at the volleyball court.
Yeah.
Made the mistake of telling her that I thought she'd make a really great wife someday.
And I literally got up and ran away.
Well, you said no. There was a line that you said before that. You said,
right. So I was 15 at the time, and I said, Dan, I just want to get my license. Like, that's all I'm thinking about,
and
not
then,
marriage.
And then she ran away and literally ran to your mom and said, "Mom, we gotta go."
have to go.
It was the last day of camp already, but the
And
leaving
then
was accelerated.
3 days later, I got a letter in the mail. Now, of course, this was back before the internet. We became pen pals where we actually wrote letters.
Yeah,
and I
that
got
would be
a letter
kind of where
in
the
mail.
pen pal thing started, wasn't it?
Yeah, it
I
was
think
an apology for being so forward. And and that actually began year after year. We would see each other at camp for a week or two, and then we would write letters back and forth.
And there was a Michael W. Smith, Amy Grant
Oh yeah, I
duet
remember.
song
Yes.
that you eventually walked down the aisle to. Paul Shabetta played it on
Yeah.
the piano. And it was Somewhere Somehow. We started it came out somewhere around then. We started quoting that song back and forth to each other in the letters. And it was said, somewhere far beyond today, I will find a way to find you. And somehow through the lonely nights, I will leave a light in the dark. Let it lead you to my heart.
And actually, that box of letters that I kept from him, I've often said if there was a fire in our house, even before pictures, I would grab that box and that would be the thing that I would want to save. And my children too, of course. But it's a very special time for us and a very special memory we have.
Yeah, so we met at camp, and then that kind of kicked off every year we'd be back together again. It was becoming kind of a known quantity that Dan liked Danielle and Danielle was not interested or holding him at bay or whatever. Now you say you knew.
Yeah, I think I did. I think maybe that was why I was a little bit afraid, was I feel like the Lord really did tell me early on, this is the guy for you. And you know, I had you know, maybe one or two other relationships, and it's funny, we hadn't seen each other in a very long time, and the very day that I thought about breaking it off with this other guy, I flick on the TV. Now, we had lived about an hour apart from each other and we didn't see each other all the time. But I turn on the TV at lunchtime on my lunch break, and wouldn't you know, Dan Macaulay is on the television
on
singing.
100 Huntley Street.
Yes.
Singing amazing.
Singing a song that he wrote, and I couldn't believe my eyes. I'm seeing Dan, but what I really couldn't believe was I'm looking at the camera and I'm thinking, why does he have a green tongue? Why is he on national television with a green tongue?
So at that point, 100 Huntley Street had a live studio audience, and my grandma was in the audience. And at least as my grandma did, lots of grandmas do, she always had candies in her purse. So after song number 1 that I sang, I went up and talked to my grandma. She gave me a candy, as she always did, grandma always did. I popped it, talked to her, sucked on the candy without thinking of it. Then it came time, go do the next song. I went and did the next song, and I'm singing with a bright, like, green tongue on the TV, and they're watching. This is live.
Yes.
So there was no redos.
And all I could think, I remember having this moment in my head going, that is who you're going to marry?
Green
the
tongue
guy
guy.
with the green tongue.
Yeah. So we had an evolving relationship over your late teens. A little bit of a chase, maybe one false start, and then I think when I accepted an internship to go and youth pastor in Connecticut, that's when she realized he's leaving and he might never come back and I might lose him. And so when I came back to do my final semester of Bible college, you finally called again, and that started the thing that never ended.
About the wedding, I think just overall, I remember just loving that we were actually getting married on the grounds where we grew up together, where he proposed to me, literally right on the exact same spot on the floor where he had proposed to me. So I thought that was just really, really sweet and cool. And now we still go back there every year. We bring our kids back. I'm telling you, I almost went into labor with our second child at that camp, and it was Brayside Camp, and we actually kind of named our youngest is named Braden, partially
That's
because
a little bit of Brayside in there.
Braden
Tribute.
and Brayside, yeah. So we have a lot of memories there together, and it was cool to get married there for sure.
You were always just a character girl, and that lasts a lifetime, and it's so true of you. So I would say one of my favorite things about you is the way that has held, and the way you are always improving yourself. You're always reading, always working to make your heart right and make sure the integrity is there and all that, and that's priceless.
Thank you. Dan is a very gifted, clearly gifted man. And there's a lot of people who praise him regularly, either writing a message to him or in person, and he handles that so well. I think more so than most people, and that's very admirable. And he is, the same right now than he is off camera. And I also feel like you are everything that I am not. So the Lord knew.
And vice versa, though.
When he stuck us together, I mean, he knew what we didn't see. He knew that I needed him and you needed me.
Yeah, no, I always think God tricked me, like in the best possible way, because I didn't know what I needed so much when I was 19 even, but like he knew the outward package that would attract me, but he also put inside that some things I didn't even know back then that I was gonna need.
Yeah, so he's a good guy.
So our married life has been full of ministry, some as pastors in church and a lot of it on the road leading worship and speaking.
And because of all that traveling, we actually waited 8 years before having kids. But in 2008, we had Keaton, and then in 2012, we had Brayden. That changed the way we did ministry a lot, especially for me, but we figured it out.
Yeah, we decided to keep them.
Most challenging season in our marriage.
Man, we've had a few.
I would say it maybe this way. We had a transition out of our last place that we were living forced upon us, and city and job and the whole thing. Out of our hands, some unfair treatment, and which is what led to us being here. And I mean, God has a plan and all that, but I think I was struggling. I think we both were struggling with unforgiveness for that my boss, or that situation, some bitterness and unforgiveness hanging out in our hearts. And the thing about unforgiveness is well, they say it's like drinking poison and hoping that it hurts the other person, and instead it hurts you. And so I would say it changed me. I would say in that season I was an angry person. I had just a bunch of anger, and I think it just kind of came out everywhere.
Yeah, I mean, when you have unforgiveness that you're walking through and dealing with, it can't stay bottled up. I mean, when you're living with someone, everyone else is going to feel it. It'll seep out, and it did. And so, there was some lashing out and, different, like you said, you just became a different person.
Yeah, so between what was going on in you and what was going on in me, there were a lot more fights, mm-hmm. and a lot more screaming matches, and I mean, it got bad enough. I mean, there was one time that Christmas Eve.
Literally, I think it was actual Christmas Day.
It was Christmas Eve.
Okay. And
I remember it well.
I just remember the only time I've ever felt like that is it. Like, you've got to go. I think we were driving from one family to the next for Christmas, and something was blowing up, and I remember just like pulling over, parking the car, and being like, okay, you're out. Time out. You're done. And that moment was fleeting, but it was impactful enough for us to realize, okay, we need to talk to somebody else. We can't just carry this all between us. And so that led us to some counseling. And
we found ourselves in marriage counseling, which I think far too often, maybe this is why it's good to bring up, far too often people see a stigma with, they had to go to counseling, Mm-hmm. But I think too many marriages, too many couples make the mistake of waiting too long before going. So what happened was we found ourselves in marriage counseling, but we found ourselves in marriage counseling talking about what had happened to us in our last employ more, and it just kept coming back to that. But as we kind of worked through that, it worked through what we had worked through too.
We had so much healing. We were talking about years of issues, and And boy, did that do us good to have somebody shepherd us and take us along to a place of healing, so we could forgive that outside person, but we also had healing in our marriage. And
it hasn't, I mean, that's 8, maybe by the end of it, 7 years ago, it hasn't been anything close to that, and ever since. That's like, I feel sick to my stomach thinking about that season.
Yeah.
But it was on a knife's edge.
So, you know, I would say to couples watching, just don't be afraid to reach out, because there's only so much you can handle and you can carry, just the two of you.
Too many couples wait too long before admitting that they need help and getting some help. There isn't a stigma in getting some help. There are people who have walked there before you, who have wisdom, who know a way out of your situation. And even in our case, simply talking about it and working through some other forgiveness things spilled over to us, because at our core, there's nothing really wrong. It was kind of poisoning that was going on just in us personally. That's another reason why the best gift that you can give your spouse is a healthy version of you, is making sure that you are maintaining a relationship with God, that you are working out some of these personal issues and stuff.
Yeah. So that was tough, but I mean, we've been through a lot, and those things just make you stronger when you know, okay, we've done that, we've overcome, we can do it again, because who knows, we walk through seasons.
Whether your marriage you feel like your marriage is in shambles, or you feel like we're good, don't get complacent even in the we're good, but to keep investing in it. Because I have to say that the very best thing that has happened, I think, for our marriage is becoming a part of a better us. When Ron and Ann asked us to be a part of the show, we're like, are you sure? I mean, we're like, because, you know,
we're just a regular couple, yeah.
Everybody carries this like secret, I think, or guilt and shame of like, yeah, but we fight and we like, so they're asking us to be a part of a show, and you know, I'm still thinking, yeah, but I'm thinking back to that season where we almost, you know, we're almost called time out or whatever.
Marriage is like your waistline. If you're not paying attention, it will go in a direction you don't want it to go, right? But so you have to continually be attentive to your marriage so that it doesn't go south, go to a place you don't want it to go.
Just don't be ashamed to talk to someone and get help. And I think even in talking to even just an ordinary, average friend that you can trust, you find out that, oh, we're not weird.
Right.
That we fought like that, or we're not weird that we're struggling, or we're not. It's pretty normal, and I think we're all in the same boat.
Absolutely.
Hi, we hope you're enjoying the show.
You know, our vision at A Better Us is to see every marriage become a loving union that creates a safe family haven, building a legacy of hope for future generations.
Yeah. That's why we feel it's so important to invest in marriage relationships through producing a new episode of A Better Us every week.
Absolutely. If you feel as we do that marriages are worth investing in, then please consider joining us as a member of A Better Us with a monthly donation of $25.
You'll be making a big difference in lives and families, and we'll send you 2 of our special mugs, the mugs that you see our kitchen couples using each program.
Absolutely. And be sure to send us your mugshot selfie, and we'll post it on our Facebook page and on our website.
Simply visit abetterus.tv and click donate to set up your automatic monthly giving. And God bless you, and thank you so much for making this program possible and helping us strengthen marriages.
So we can all become a better us.
Watch any TV show, any movie, anything, and the plot, when it comes to sex, is always the same. The couple is together, and they're panting. And so they start to kiss, and they take off their clothes, and they end up in bed. No matter what you watch, that's what happens, isn't it? They pant, they kiss, they take off their clothes, they wind up in bed. And so that's what we start to think sex is. Pant, kiss, clothes, bed. So there you are at home, and you're waiting to pant. And nothing's happening, so you figure that you just aren't in the mood. But what if pant, kiss, close, bed is the wrong order for most women? A researcher named Rosemary Abbott from the University of British Columbia studied how desire and arousal works in women. And what she found was that while for men arousal came before they started, as in they were already in the mood, and I don't know why anyone had to study that, most women were not aroused until after they started. You see, when you make the decision to make love and when you want to have a good time, your body often follows. But if you're waiting for your body to kick in first, you may be waiting a long time. So try this. Decide, tonight, I am going to do this because I want to feel amazing. I want to feel close to my husband and I deserve to feel great. And then see if the panting does eventually start.
It's been a good half hour as we've covered some pretty relevant and diverse topics, including how to lovingly deal with a depressed spouse, as well as the importance of understanding our differing libidos.
We also heard from the hearts of a very special couple, Dan and Danielle Macaulay. I so appreciate how transparent they were with the toll that unforgiveness took on their marriage, and the fact that they actually needed outside help to work it out.
It's a wise step for any couple to recognize when they're stuck, and it's a very brave move to seek help from a third party who maybe has a broader and hopefully a godly perspective.
Whether it's a pastor, a professional counselor, or a marriage coach, the point is to not give up. Issues like unforgiveness are best not swept under the rug because, as Dan and Danielle said, even if the unforgiveness is regarding someone outside of your marriage, it can have a negative impact on your relationship.
Maybe you find yourself in a challenging season right now in your marriage. Can we encourage you to take those wise and brave steps and seek outside help? Even if it's simply someone who can pray for you, it's a good thing. In fact, that's what our prayer line is for. It's available 24/7.
You see the number on your screen? It will connect you with a caring person who would love to join with you in bringing your challenge to God. And in the process, you'll discover Him to be a loving, faithful source of peace and wisdom for whatever you go through in life.
Having that kind of personal relationship with God through Jesus is the best kind of outside connection a couple can make because it moves to the inside and you see changes at a heart level. A new softening, a forgiving spirit, patience, grace. That's all part of the transformation that takes place when we have a genuine encounter with Jesus. And it's something that you'll enjoy both now and into eternity.
That is so true. Well, we're so glad you've joined us today. And remember, with God, there is always hope to become a better us.
Hey friends, we really hope you're enjoying the marriage conversations here with A Better Us on our YouTube channel.
We have hundreds of more helpful marriage videos designed to give you hope and tools to make your marriage better.
And you can see just a few options we think you might like here and here.
Enjoy! Oh, and make sure you subscribe by clicking here so you don't miss out on all the great marriage help we have coming your way soon.